couple years ago, I was sitting on a train in Switzerland. I was like, what am I going to do with my life? So this is a massive project I'm working on. This is like a lifelong project.
So I'm glad somebody's doing it. That's fucking awesome.
Yeah.
And I think it's an important lesson that if you have an idea like that, you got to go for it.
That's your way of building your portfolio. That's how you're going to get to where you want to get to. So do it again.
Yeah.
And make it better.
Like that's not the point of the whole thing.
Yeah.
You find your idea, and then you go to the artist who has the style exactly how you want, and then let them do what they're a master at.
Absolutely.
Yeah, totally.
And you're gonna get the best result because they're gonna love doing it.
Hey everyone, we're on with Dakota Weik today. He's inked abroad on Instagram and he showcases the best tattoo artists from all around the world. I'm super excited to talk with him.
Hey everyone, it's Colton here, and before we start the podcast, I want to take a second to tell you about the Eden Summer Symposium. Our symposiums are our largest educational format, and they consist of 2 full days of seminars. This summer, we're having 8 different presentations. We're having seminars from industry legends Avihu Ben-Gida, Edit Paints, Gian Carle, Jacob Sheffield, John Nelson, and Mike Chambers. They all do different styles, and they're some of the very best in the business at what they do, so there's going to be a ton of information no matter what tattoo style you specialize in. They're also going to be doing live tattoo and design demonstrations. Our Eden content creators are also doing a seminar on tattoo photography, and Squire Strahan is going to be giving a presentation on merchandise and branding. If you're a tattoo artist of any level, you have to come to this event. It's going to be an amazing investment to your career. It's going to be June 30th and July 1st in Frisco, Texas. Visit EdenBodyArtStudios.com/edu to punch your ticket.
Yeah. So you're from Pennsylvania.
Yep.
And you live out in California now?
I moved out there 5 years ago yesterday. It was my 5th anniversary.
Oh.
Nice.
Yep.
And where are you, like down in LA?
It's like 30 minutes south, so in Costa Mesa, so the quiet part. But I go up to LA like 4 times a week to my sponsor, Mad Rabbit. So I drive up there, and it's like hour every day.
Yeah.
Hour one way.
Yeah. I
And
bet
it's
the traffic is gnarly.
horrible.
Yeah.
I'm not used to that still.
Yeah.
And
Well, that's pretty new, right? The Mad Rabbit studio and everything?
So they like started off as the aftercare brand, and then they decided to build this like giant content studio. So it's like there's a studio with 2 artists, and then the rest of it's for like original content and stuff.
Gotcha. Okay, that's interesting because I had seen that they were opening a studio, and I was thinking like tattoo studio. Obviously, there's a tattoo studio element to it, but they only have a couple artists, and like the rest is for like video content and everything like that.
Yep. And they started this like fantasy factory vlog. So like 4 days during the week, there's a camera guy there, and then it just films it all, just whatever we're doing throughout the day.
Dang.
Come up with fun events to do.
Yeah.
And it's super cool.
Dang, that's awesome, man.
Fun.
So, like, what kind of content are you filming when you're there?
Sometimes I'll make my own stuff. Sometimes we'll just come up with like little ads for them, or like little promo skits. But otherwise, Andrew, the guy who's the filmographer, is just filming everything. So it's like all the raw moments. And I'll enjoy that too, because like I make my videos, but sometimes I'm like, how do I get people to see like the real me?
Yeah,
'Cause I'm
yeah,
always
yeah.
like in that like mode to talk about tattoos. So having him film while we're just talking about stupid stuff is nice too.
Yeah. Dang, that's cool, dude. So, like, how many people are like on the? I guess you have like a content team there, or like, are you like part of a content team, or are you just like
Yeah.
sponsored by them, or like how does it
Yeah,
work?
so I'm more integrated with them now. So I'm a part of the team, going up there, hanging out, and then the chief content officer is Garen. So he like runs the whole studio. The 2 founders one lives here actually. I was
Oh,
just
okay,
with
and-
him last night.
Oh shit, in
And
Dallas.
then- yep.
Oh, cool.
And then the other one lives in Ohio. So Garen runs that studio, and then there's a couple people there.
Okay, gotcha. Dang, that's a cool.
So fun.
That's a cool setup, man.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. And so, how long has that been going on? Because
I've
it
been
opened
with
pretty
them for,
recently.
like
huh?
a half a year now.
Okay.
And then
Gotcha.
they built the studio maybe like 2 months before that.
Gotcha. Yeah.
So it's very new.
Yeah, that's awesome, man.
Yeah.
It's cool to see. I don't know. I feel like content is like developing like in every industry, but especially like the tattoo industry. And I feel like Matt Rabbit's doing like a really good job pushing it because I think because like Pony Lawson, they like sponsor his whole like YouTube channel,
Yep.
right? Yeah. Yeah, it's
The
so
sign
cool.
in the background and all that.
Yeah, yeah. I feel like there's just like an overall like lack of that stuff in the tattoo industry of like.
It's so untouched in the tattoo industry. There's so much. It's like what you can make of it now, which is so cool.
Yeah, totally.
Which
Yeah.
is so cool, like seeing people who aren't even like tattoo artists, like you guys and our content creator. It's just develop what they want to develop in this industry. It's really neat.
Yeah, and it's such a powerful resource. Like, I can't imagine because like a tattoo artist is so busy, and like the amount of time it takes me doing all the content, but it's also
Totally.
so vital because you just gotta reach people in
Totally.
this medium.
Totally. So yeah, one thing that I wanted to talk about, but you kind of mentioned it, so I guess we'll get onto it, is like, I feel like with the tattoo industry growing, there's like space for other like non-tattoo artists to get into it. And I always say in my seminars and stuff, like, you know, like tattooing is a full-time job, and like all this other shit, like owning a studio, even making content, like it's a full-time job. Like Ian, like we shot videos for like literally like 2 hours yesterday, and it was like two videos. Like one was like kind of like a skit ad, and then one of them was like a short little reel, and then he made another reel yesterday. But it's like, damn, like if you're a tattoo artist, to like, and that wasn't the editing, it was like just the filming.
Yeah.
You know, so I can't imagine like how much time like you spend making your videos. But
Crazy.
yeah.
Because like now I kind of have a system down. When I do like the Instagram videos you see, I like have the system and it goes pretty quick. But I went to make my first YouTube and I like combined like 5 artists into one long video. Went to edit it, it was like 15 hours.
Yeah.
I'm like, I don't know how I'm gonna be able to do this.
Yeah, totally.
And I can't. I thought about giving it to somebody to edit for me, but a lot of the time I'm just sitting there and I'm like, this artist, this artist. I'm like, they don't know which one I want to say.
Yeah, totally. Yeah. And that's been tough for me, is, you know, because I edit a lot of stuff too, but like especially with the podcast and the podcast shorts, like it's kind of tough to hand it over to somebody else, because like I don't do it like exactly the way, like a lot of times it'll be like really close and I can just like tweak some things, but I feel like sometimes it's even like harder to explain like how I want it, you know? But yeah, that shit just takes time, dude.
So much. And like I see the guy who does the vlogs and he's just locked in editing, clipping, and like the way he moves around like Premiere Pro.
Yeah.
It's like magical. He's like, and I'm sitting there trying to cut and I'm like, there's no way.
Yeah.
It's gonna take 10 years.
Well, and so the other part of it is not just like the time commitment in editing and like doing all that stuff on a daily basis, but like there's a big learning curve when it comes to that stuff. And because I'm sure like when you first started shooting those Instagram reels, it took you a lot longer probably than it does
Yep.
now. So it's like the effort, you know, you got to effort and time you got to put into editing like on a daily basis, but also like just to like figure out how to get to that level where it's like that fast. I'm sure it's the same with YouTube. Like I'm sure you'll get way faster at editing those videos, but like when you start something new like that, it's like, it's a huge time suck.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know how tattoo artists would like do that in addition to tattooing.
So
you know?
much.
Well, John, he takes one day out of the week just to film. And like for me, I have a crew of people to do that. It's, yeah, I don't think you can do it all.
Yeah.
I think it's really hard. And I know you're wanting to become a tattoo artist eventually too. Do you think that you're going to hire people to kind of help you manage your time?
Like take
Like that?
over maybe more of the social part.
Yeah.
I'm thinking that because I don't know if you've seen the new project I'm working on,
The
but
documentary?
so the goal is to move more into that. Like I always nurture my short form content.
Yeah.
But the goal is to start going more into that. Like I'm gonna do a mini documentary on YouTube, and then the big documentary we're trying to go into film festivals. So we filmed the first one with Amanda Graves, got that all done, and then afterwards they're like, "Yeah, we're gonna edit this all," and I was like, oh, "What?"
You're like, nice.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So if we get that to become successful and we go and make these like big productions, like film, and then in my spare time, I'll be able to manage other things.
Nice.
Yeah.
That's the goal.
Totally. Yeah. So I know it's kind of, because you haven't released any of that stuff yet, right? It's kind of like in the early
Yeah.
stages of announcing it and everything like that. But I mean, how much can you talk about it? Because I'd love to hear about.
Same.
Yeah.
Yeah, I can
both.
tell you the whole story.
Yeah,
'Cause
that'd be
now-
fucking awesome.
Now
yeah.
that it's all out.
Yeah.
So
and this
when-
won't come out for like another month or so.
Oh,
So
yeah.
we got some time. I don't know when you're thinking about releasing it, but
I think it's going to be quite a while because if we're going to go the film festival route, there's so much to go and we need to make sure it's like perfect. But the idea, so this all stems like with the idea of Inked Abroad, but a couple years ago, I was sitting on a train in Switzerland and I've always collected tattoos from other countries. Like this was my first one international. And I've always loved like travel and culture and learning about other people. And I started this clothing brand where I tried to connect cultures through it. That just went to shit. but it was a learning experience. And then a couple years ago, I was sitting on a train in Switzerland. I was like, what am I going to do with my life? Like, it was really like an existential, like, figure something out. I was like, what if I combine my two passions of body art and like learning about the world and connecting cultures? And I've always been inspired by Anthony Bourdain and his Parts Unknown. I was like, what if I do something like he did, but for tattoos? And I was sitting there, I was like, Inked Abroad. I was like, is that too simple of a name? I was like, no, I think that works. I called my mom. She's like, I love it. So I was like, I wanted to make a documentary, but if I try and bring that to somebody, they're going to be like, cool idea, thanks, we're going to take that now. So I was like, I got to start on social media. So I started going, and it was like, first couple years, nothing was taking off, beat me down, and I was like, maybe this isn't right for me. Like my first video that went viral, it was me talking about pain spots and which tattoos are the most painful and least painful, and I didn't have many tattoos then. I got ripped apart.
I bet. Yeah.
Like I was wearing shorts, no knee tattoos, no hand tattoos, and people were like, what the fuck do you know? Like, you've no idea. And I'm like, this isn't fun. And then I made 2 more of those versions, and they both went up too. Wow. And then I started like honing in more on like the artists. And then over time, like, I don't know if you ever saw me spinning the globe videos.
I don't think I've seen those. Yeah.
I just like made 2 of those a day, and I just sat there, spun a globe, tried to stick the country's name on the country, and then started like a carousel reel of the greatest tattoo artists, and then those just started cooking.
Cool.
Wow.
Yeah.
And then I was like, I need to start talking because nobody knows my personality of me just spinning a globe.
Yeah.
And then from there.
Yeah.
So how did you, and this is for anybody who's watching who's maybe not in the industry. I know you have a website that kind of gives you a list of the best tattoo artists in the world, but I'm also just curious too, on your own, how did you find the best artists?
Just so much extensive searching. Like I started on Instagram,
Yeah.
and then I found a couple. Like the first artist that I made a video for was Aviu. Bingita, yeah.
Yeah.
And like before, I used to get a bunch of tattoos in Pennsylvania, and I thought they were like the greatest. And then I started like researching, and I was like, oh shit, there's like incredible art out there.
Yeah.
So I discovered him, and then I like looked through his followers. I was like, well, he's got to know great tattoo artists. And then it's still my system today. Go through their followers, or when I follow, it shows recommendations.
Yeah. Yeah.
Books and all that stuff.
Yeah.
Brilliant.
Just like now I'm creating a whole list of artists just to have like this giant archives. And that's one of my other projects I'm working on. It's
Yeah.
called The Halls of Ink.
Yeah.
And I'm going to be releasing like the Halls of Ink archives books. And it's going to have artists in them by volume.
Yeah. Wow. That's awesome, man.
That is awesome.
No, I that's actually something that I haven't really thought of or considered, but I think that's a great way to find tattoo artists. And Dan always says like, you can tell a really good tattoo artist by like if they tattoo other tattoo artists. So I think that's pretty telling of like who they follow. I feel like that's definitely a good way to find people. So, okay. So, and how do you say his name? Avihu?
Aviu?
Avihu? Okay, cool.
Yep.
So that was the first video you did?
Yeah.
And have you met him?
I did. It was a really cool full circle moment because like the first video I made, I was in my room and I was like playing around with these transitions. Like my phone would be in the laundry basket. I'm like, hey, this is Inked Abroad. Let me show you a cool tattoo artist. Super cheesy.
Yeah.
But I made it for him. And like at the beginning, he commented on it and he shared it. I was like, oh, that's so cool. And then last year, him and Edit came to Los Angeles with all their friends, and they're like, hey, do you want to come over and hang out with all of us and have dinner? I was like, that's so cool.
Yeah.
I was like, absolutely.
Dude, that's so awesome.
So cool.
Yeah, they're actually doing our summer symposium.
saw that.
Super excited to meet them. And you know, it's funny, I actually reached out to you. I don't know if you remember, but because I was looking for somebody in the realm of like that style. It's like, or
Yep.
the designer with the black and gray fine line. I was like, hey, do you know some artists? And he was one of the people that you mentioned. And so I didn't reach out to him directly, but I reached out to Edit, and then she was like, you know, can my husband come too? And I was like, fuck yeah,
Perfect.
it was like perfect. Yeah. So I'm super excited to have them. That's
Yeah,
gonna be
they're
really
so
cool.
sweet.
Yeah.
They're the greatest people.
Yeah. Have you been out there to Israel?
Not yet. I really want to go.
Yeah.
I haven't been anywhere in the Middle East yet.
Okay. Gotcha.
But it's
Yeah.
a big bucket list of mine.
Yeah, totally. Dang. Okay, man. I feel like there's so much to talk about. But yeah, the short form stuff is really cool. That's cool how like seems like you've kind of gone through your own like content journey of like just figuring out like what works, and now it's like you kind of got like the perfect formula for those videos, and I'm sure it'll like keep evolving and stuff like that
And
too.
it took you a few years to like get there. What kept you going?
Yeah, well, because when did you start the whole like Instagram thing? Was it like 2 years ago?
That's like 4 now. What year are we in? 2024?
Yeah,
Time's flying.
yeah, totally.
Yeah, it was like the end of 2020 that I started it. And I first started with the clothing brand. And I was like, I'm too old to make TikToks. I was looking at it, but I was like, I'm going to fall behind. I was like, you just got to join.
Totally. Well, how old were you
Choose
then?
your
Like,
hard.
because you're 29, right?
Yeah, it's like 25.
That was too old.
I looked at it and I saw like the only like thing I visualized TikTok as is like the TikTok dances and stuff like that.
Totally. You
That's
know,
what he thought of it at first too. When
Well-
I was like, "Hey, look at this new site during COVID." It was like, it's so funny.
Yeah, she like kept showing me TikToks. I was like, why are you on this app? But it's funny that you say that because we had a JPG coaching who's got like 4 million followers on TikTok, and he said the exact same thing. He was like, his wife told him about it or something. He's like, oh, I thought this was just an app for like kids to dance on, but he started posting his
Yep.
fitness videos and just like totally changed his career.
It's crazy.
Yeah,
It's like,
yeah.
and then I thought back to like when Vine was out and I was a kid. I was like, I want to make Vines. I was like, no, I don't want anybody seeing me make Vines. All those people are just huge now.
Yeah, totally.
Like,
yeah.
We're not letting that happen again.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Totally. So wait, so did you start making TikToks and stuff like that?
Yep. So I started making TikToks with the clothing brand, and then I just eventually gave up on that. It was just friends who bought my stuff, but it was a really cool learning experience, sitting on so much inventory, and I got rid of so much clothes on Facebook Marketplace for like $400. I was like, take it.
Yeah.
And I got a tattoo with it.
Yeah, totally. Nice.
And
There
then
you go.
I tested out making like beer tasting videos from around the world, international beers, and then I started eating like weird foods from around the world, and then that idea hit me, and I was like, this is something I enjoy, because I'm sick of eating just stuff I don't enjoy. It was like the reactions, and nobody was liking it. I was like, what am I doing?
Yeah, well, you're like, why am I doing this?
Yeah, going to the mirror in
What's the
bathroom.
craziest thing you've eaten?
There's this century egg, and it's a Chinese delicacy, but they take an egg and they bury it in ash and clay for like 3 months until it ferments into like a black.
We
I
had
think I
that.
tried one
It
of
was
those in
it was
Taiwan,
yummy.
yeah.
You guys enjoyed it?
We had it in Taiwan.
I didn't love it. I wouldn't eat it every day, but
Yeah.
But
It's
it
okay.
tasted fine though. I was surprised.
Did you have it at a restaurant?
Yeah, it was actually just like sitting in the breakfast buffet in Taiwan.
Okay, that might make sense because I got mine out of like the back of a freezer in a little market in California in like a styrofoam box. And I'm like,
yeah.
that might be why. It didn't
What
taste like
wasn't good?
No.
Yeah.
It was like the one I had tasted like oysters, and the inside was so like gooey and like stuck to my teeth. And I'm like,
Ew.
no.
Yeah,
no.
that's
People didn't
different
like
than
that.
ours.
People didn't like that video. You're like, oh man,
Yeah.
I did this for nothing.
Exactly. And I was like, all right, we got to figure out something
Yeah.
else to do.
All right, so you're trying beers, trying foods, and then what?
Yep. And then I started making the videos for the tattoo artists. So started talking about them, researching their background as much as I could find on the internet, because there's still like, it's crazy to me how much information isn't out there.
Oh, absolutely.
It's
Yeah.
like absolutely wild.
Well, I feel like most tattoo artists don't even have a website.
Yeah.
You know.
And even like when I'm building this archives, I try to find the city location. They don't have it in their bio. And then I look and I'm like, okay, these 10 photos say Paris. So I'm going to assume it's Paris.
Totally.
And if not, I'll go to Google. But
Yeah.
no info.
Yeah.
So
Sometimes I feel like you almost have to like just find a really old post that might have some personal anecdote about
Yep.
them or something. But yeah.
like them in high school, just like in a city. And I'm like,
Yeah.
yeah, that's got to be it.
Yeah, it's tough, and yeah, it's funny that you say that. I do a lot of like I talk to artists about social media and stuff like that, but I always encourage like showing your personality, showing who you are, and everything like that, because I feel like with a lot of these tattoo artists, it's like everybody knows they do like really awesome work, but you don't know like anything like about the person, and that's kind of one reason that I like the podcast is because we like get to sit down with people and like get like an hour and a half for people to like find out, okay, who is this tattoo artist, like where do they come from, what's their story, and everything like that. I just feel like
100%.
it's another just like way to connect with them, you know.
Yeah. And I think
Humanize 'em.
that's like a big component, because people always connect with people. They relate. So if they see great artwork and then they're like, oh, I could hang out with that guy or girl and just like shoot the shit, they're like even better.
Yeah.
Because you never know what you're getting into.
Yeah,
so if you
totally.
like at least see a little bit of the personality, changes the whole thing.
Yeah, absolutely. And especially where, you have, artists that do amazing styles all over the world. And sometimes like the quality of work is like comparable, right? So if you can get something in the US comparable to what you would get in Israel or Italy or whatever, like why would you go over there unless it's like to experience the country too? And that's another like cool aspect of it,
Yeah, that's a really like one of the big components I enjoy about what I do is because like I'm trying to create a tattoo tourism.
Yeah.
Because like people contact me on the artist when I share them, and they're like, "Who in the U.S. can do this?" I'm like, "Go to that artist." That's
Yeah.
why I'm sharing. their
Totally.
work.
Yeah. You're like,
Yep.
you're missing the point.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like take the little trip. I mean, I understand it's not easy to take the trip all the time, but these are heavy hitting artists. Like this is worth the investment one day, and then you also get to travel.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, absolutely. And I travel all over to get all over the country. I don't think I haven't been out of the country to get tattooed yet, but whenever I travel to a different state, it's always like I always like really appreciate the experience. It's
Yeah.
just I don't know, it's just there's something awesome about it.
it resonates more because you can like look back and be like, I got this here during this like whole event.
Yeah, totally. Yeah. And it's funny that you went into the premise of your show cuz like a few years ago there was a guy that worked with us here and we were kind of talking. He's like, it'd be really cool if there was like a parts unknown for like tattoo artists. And so we started talking about, oh, maybe we could do a documentary and focus on like tattoo collecting but basically like document the experience to also like kind of incentivize people who like maybe hesitant to travel to be like, hey, look, this could be really cool. And then we could do a profile on the artists in the city and stuff like that. So I'm glad somebody's doing it. That's fucking awesome.
Yeah.
And I think it's an important lesson that if you have an idea like that, you got to go for it because somebody else will jump on it,
Yep.
Yeah.
Especially if you're inspired by Anthony Bourdain and his way of like connecting with people, and if you do the same thing, and
Yeah.
I don't know, it's just his whole style is really awesome. So it'd be
love it.
great for you to gain some of that,
Yeah.
encapsulate it.
And I read like his books. I always watched his parts unknown growing up, and I was like, I love that so much. Like I want to go to these crazy places.
Yeah.
And then just like it was that aha moment. It just snapped. I was like, I gotta do it.
Yeah.
But what really like put the fire under my ass was this year the TV network reached out, and they also had this similar idea because there's no TV show that is like the travel and the culture and the tattoos.
Yeah.
So they were like, oh, we're thinking of this like travel show with tattoos, and then we talked and we were like kind of like the same idea, and then they were like, we want to put a celebrity in every episode that's connected to the country. And I was like, look, you're gonna ruin it because people are gonna pay too much attention to the celebrity and not the art, not the story and stuff like that. And they're like, no, we know the TV industry, so it's gonna be like that. And I was like, all right, I'm not doing this. Like, I want to protect this. I cannot let anything get ruined with this show.
Yeah, yeah.
I'm making sure the artists get all the like attention and views as they can, and I don't want anything to distract the story.
Yeah.
So I was like, the idea is out there now. And now I've talked to a bunch of people, like, I've heard, just like you said, but people had this idea of, like, travel tattoo. I was like, I need to do it.
Yeah, totally.
Yep.
Yeah.
So we got the team together and then went down to Amanda, and it was absolutely phenomenal.
Yeah.
And where is she at?
Bel Air, Maryland.
Why does that name sound familiar? I feel like I know who that is. What's her last name?
She does the graves. She does the glitter tattoos.
I feel like I know who that is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I do.
the-
I'm so bad with names. If you showed me a tattoo, I'd be like, oh, okay.
Yeah. She
Yeah.
like pioneered that like dot glitter style where it literally looks like there's glitter on
Yeah.
the skin, and it's insane. I saw it in person. I was like, how?
Yeah. Totally. Yeah, it was cool. We actually had an artist here. I don't know if you follow her, but Callie Tattoos is her handle. And so she does glitter tattoos too. And she like learned from Amanda, got tattooed from Amanda, and like did a video on like how she does that style here. It was really,
cool.
it's really neat, dude. Yeah.
Yeah. I thought it was like a stippling method, and it's every dot is individual.
Yep.
I was like, damn,
Yeah.
that's a lot of dots.
That's
Yeah.
a lot of dots.
Totally. Yeah. Okay. So 2 years ago, you're on a train to Switzerland from Italy.
From Switzerland to Italy. Me and my-
Badass.
Yeah.
What were you doing there? Were you getting tattooed?
Nope, just traveling. Me and my roommate, or old roommate, loved like going around traveling to other countries. Last year we did a really massive trip to like 30 countries.
Wow.
Wow.
But on that trip, we just went to Italy, Liechtenstein, Switzerland, the Vatican, and we missed San Marino. And I was really upset about that because it's like this tiny little country in Italy. And we missed the only train going in there. And I love going to the little micronations.
Yeah.
I missed it, and I was so bummed. He's like, dude, we got to go to the next country. I'm like,
Yeah. Dang, that is so cool. So have you started like so I mean obviously now you probably travel like for tattoo artists, but have you started to get tattooed overseas and stuff like that?
so I'm up to 20 countries now that I've been
Wow.
tattooed in.
Yeah.
This was the first because I had this little compass was my first one. I was like, I love travel. I'll get a compass.
Yeah,
I was,
nice.
like 18 years old.
Yeah.
And then I was in Greece and I got Eftahia, which is happiness. I like was wandering around. I found a tattoo shop. I was like, it's that easy to get tattooed in another country? I think I was like 19. I was like, that's cool. So I came back. I was like, I've been internationally tattooed.
Yeah.
And then I got this one in Canada, just the maple leaf.
Nice.
And then after I started doing the inked abroad thing, then I was like, all right, I need to just keep collecting more and more and more.
And
Yeah.
you're finding sick artists
Yep.
too. Who
Yeah.
did your hands?
This girl, Tanya, she's in Orange, California.
Oh, okay.
She reached out on my TikTok and she's like, hey, you should come to California sometime. I was like, I'm here. She's like, come to Orange County sometime. I'd love to tattoo you. I was like, I'm here.
Sweet, dude.
I went up there.
Yeah.
That's
Awesome, man.
So excited. She did the fingers too. So those pertain
Wow.
to this. And it's impossible n'est pas français. It's nothing's impossible in French.
Hell yeah.
Love
Yeah,
that.
we'll do gonna do a little tattoo tour video later, so we'll get the whole scoop on everything. That'll be super cool.
Yep.
Yeah. I don't know, dude. I think it's so cool when there's like personal like anecdotes, tied to tattoos. Even if you're not explaining them to everybody all the time, like you remember that shit. You
Yep.
know? Yeah.
Exactly. I love the story.
Yeah.
Even like, I can't wait to tell you this one. It's just
Yeah.
such a wild story.
I'm excited. Well, you'll have to watch the YouTube video, but spoiler alert. Yeah, that's awesome, dude. So how many countries have you been to now? Not just got tattooed, but
45. Damn. Yeah. Last year really helped us with like the number because it was like 22 before, and then me and my friend were planning this massive trip. I was like, we just got to do it now, and like before we're tied down to anything else. And we planned 30 countries all throughout Europe. I was ill prepared, so the American dream of credit cards helped me. I was just like, all right, just
Yeah.
like worry about it later.
yeah.
And he got married right before we went, like literally the month before. And then we just disappeared for like 3 months. I was like, damn, dude.
So his partner didn't come?
Nope.
Damn.
It's like we were planning for
later.
like a whole year.
Okay.
And like she knew about it, but I feel like she also was like, there goes my husband for 3 months.
Yeah, totally.
Damn.
It was like 70 days.
Wow, man. So did you guys go out there with like an itinerary, or did you just kind of like?
The way I travel was like a basic concept. So I choose the countries, I choose the capitals, and I put it in like by day. And then I'll get like the flights or the train tickets. Usually train tickets you can get on the spot. But flights I always get because you just never know.
Yeah.
And if you like fuck one country up, the rest of it could be gone.
Totally.
So
What are a few tips you can give people who want to get tattooed overseas? Is there any mistakes you've made in the past that you would change? Like things to bring, how to contact them? What are some tips?
I've always contacted through Instagram. So like in the city I'm looking at, I would type in, let's say I'm in Panama. I'd type in Panama City Tattoo. See who's there, find an artist, and find like a studio that looks like well known, like
Yeah,
in their vicinity.
reputable.
Make sure you check the neighborhood out because no matter where you're at, whether you're here or you're in another country, there's always like sketchy parts that you can go to. So
Yeah.
check the safety of that because you're a guest in their nation. So you always have to be self-aware of where you're going.
Cool. Good to know.
Just go to Instagram. I usually find their art and I'm like, hey, I really love your artwork. I would love to get a piece to symbolize me getting or like being in this country. What are your thoughts? And see if there's any availability. And then usually my approach is I just let them give me whatever they want to give me. I'm like, give me something to symbolize your country. Like Panama, she did the outline of Panama and then did the inked abroad. I was like, that's perfect.
That's sick.
And I've never had somebody design something for me that I didn't like.
Yeah.
Maybe I just like love it all.
Yeah.
But I'm super easy when it comes to tattoos.
Yeah. Yeah.
And when
Totally.
you let the artist do what they want, it just comes out better anyway because the artist's goal is doing the best tattoo that they can do. And the client's goal is getting the best tattoo. It's all
Yeah.
the same goal. And I wish a lot more clients could give that trust to that artist because, you know, again, we both have the same end goal.
Yep. And that's why I always try and tell my followers that. I'm like, you're going to this specific artist because of their style.
Yeah.
So, like, somebody has like a geometric tattoo and then they come to you and they're like, do it just like this. Like, that's not the point of the whole thing.
Yeah.
You find your idea and then you go to the artist who has the style exactly how you want and then let them do what they're a master at.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Totally.
And you're going to get the best result because they're going to love doing it
Yeah. Totally.
and it's just going to come out great.
Well, so sorry.
Oh, no, go ahead. That made me think about all the styles. So I looked on your website and I love that you have a category by styles and there's styles I've never even heard of before. You just seem to know a lot about like tattooing history and styles. And are there any like books you recommend for people to read or like how did you gain that knowledge?
So this crazy thing happened. So I like reading historical tattoo books, like different cultures, the Maori and the Irizumi and all those. But my mom loves collecting antiques, loves like thrift shopping and getting a bunch of cool stuff. She came across this man who had a tattoo book collection, and he tried to give his whole collection to a library, and they're like, we don't want these, which is a crazy thing.
Yeah.
And she like came in contact with him and he's like, yeah, you can have like, there's probably like 85 books here. He's like, I'd give them to you for $100. I was like, you better snag those immediately.
Yeah.
And it's literally like, some are super rare. There's
Wow.
like spider web books and Maori tattoo books written in the 1890s. There's
Oh.
every like different culture. There's some in Hebrew. There's some in Russian. I'm like, how did this even come into my hands?
Yeah. Wow.
And like, there's a whole chest at home because every time I fly home to visit, I just put like a couple in my backpack and bring it back to California.
Yeah.
And it's just like so much knowledge. So I put it on my Facebook. I'm going to put something on my website that shows all the books. But I've started to read through them. And it's because like I went on Google to try and find tattoo books and it's impossible.
Yeah.
Like,
Totally.
the only one I found, I mean, not the only one, but like the Hank Schiffmacher's giant collection of his tattoo history. But otherwise, it's very hard to find information on tattoos. And then this dude just has the entire archives in
Yeah.
his house trying to get rid of them.
Do you
I
know
wonder
who
how
he
he
was?
came in contact with it. Yeah.
I'm
That's
curious
wild.
Who he is.
He's just, I think, just a local Pennsylvanian.
It's
It's
the
like
dude
a friend
that's
of my mom's friend.
digs
who just-
tattoos or.
Yep.
Dude, that is
He was
wild.
like 70 years old. And he's like, yeah, there's a couple, there's the Russian criminal tattoo book that was in there too. It's like one of the original books. But it goes talking about the Russian prison system and how all their markings have something significant to them. So if you do something bad or you're just like the prison bitch or something, they'll tattoo that on you and you're marked for life.
Yeah.
Like you can never get
Wow.
rid of that identity.
Dang, dude, that is so
Wow.
cool. Yeah, I mean, we were talking about how like there's just seems like a general lack of information out there like about tattoo artists, but I feel like tattooing as a whole, like it's just, and I know like for so long it's been like a counterculture thing, right? Like it hasn't been mainstream, but there's not that many resources out there like documenting, yeah, the industry as a whole or the history of it, or even like the science of tattooing and
Yeah.
that side of things. Like there's not that many like scientific articles written about tattooing. So I wonder if as the industry becomes more mainstream, if that stuff is going to become more commonplace. I'm sure it will, but I
hope
think
so.
that's part of what's so cool about what you're doing is you're putting a resource out there just for people to get more information because it's like, it's so special, you know?
Yeah. I
Yeah.
appreciate that. And like the Halls of Ink I told you about. So this is a massive project I'm working on. This is like a lifelong project. At some point, I'm going to have a place where it'll be like a tattoo library and museum. of all the things I've collected throughout the years.
Nice.
And like after I spoke with Philip Liu for like an hour at Paris, he was telling me like there's no preservation of the history. Like I know there's a couple museums that exist. Hank Schiffmacher has one. There's one in California. I was like, there can't be enough places to preserve the history of tattooing. So I really took that to heart, and I was like, I'm gonna dedicate my life not only to like Inked Abroad, but I'm gonna create a place where I can preserve the history of tattooing.
Yeah.
And all the books that I collect and come across, and then
Wow.
have people be able to come and enjoy it.
Yeah.
So
Totally.
we just never lose even the 5,000-year-old history, the Sailor Jerry era, and then the greatest artists of modern tattooing as the decades roll on.
Yeah. Yeah. It's so crazy. As I'm just thinking about as we move forward in this industry, I feel like, you know, the greatest painters of like the Renaissance and Baroque era, like they were like the best artists in the world, and now I feel like the best artists in the world are like tattoo artists, right?
Yeah.
So, but then the other interesting thing is like, well, how are you gonna preserve like that art? Because like once a person like passes away, like that piece is gone, you know. So, I guess just photography, but you
Yeah.
know, just a way to like show the work that these people did. You know,
It is a cool like concept though, is like once they're gone, like that art is gone forever.
that is part of what makes it special. I
Yeah.
feel like, yeah,
Because like you work on such an incredible piece, it grows old with that person, and then it's gone. Like that story
Oh,
and that
yeah.
art has had its life.
yeah.
And thank God we have photos and cameras and stuff too.
Yeah, totally. Yeah, and it's
It is
crazy.
really strange though. Like I don't know. I've had a client die before too, and it was one of my favorite pieces starting out. And it was this young boy, and I tattooed him, and like a couple months later, he took his own life. And it was like the first time I realized the mortality of tattoos too, and how like all of a sudden they can just like disappear with the person and stuff. And it's such a crazy feeling to feel like you're being told that tattoos are so permanent, but it's like the first time where you realize they kind of aren't, and they're probably less permanent than fine art and stuff that can be preserved forever.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, thank God we
Yeah.
have cameras and stuff like that.
Yeah,
That's crazy.
yeah. It is an interesting concept because, like, really, like a tattoo is way harder to see than like a painting. You know, at least like a painting is like hung in a museum. But like if you want to see like a tattoo in person, like what
You
are you gonna go
can't.
find that person? You know,
Yeah.
maybe
Yeah.
you'll get lucky one day and just see it. But yeah, yeah, it's just such an interesting art form, man. I think
Really?
it's so cool.
It is. Did you see that company in Ohio that
That's-
preserves?
Yeah. It's kind of freaky. I
Yeah.
don't know. I don't know how I feel about it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Did you
feel
do
like-
it?
I feel like my mom. I don't know if my mom would want that. My
Just
mom loves
your
me a
skin?
lot, but
Yeah.
I just feel like just take that afterwards, and then you have my tattoos on the walls. Like just print out the photos of them,
Yeah. Yeah.
because
I don't know. Yeah.
it's a neat concept.
Yeah.
Because some people definitely would enjoy that.
Yeah, totally. Yeah, I mean, there are people now in this modern age of tattooing that have like fucking museums tattooed on it, basically just like hundreds and hundreds of hours of work from like some of the best artists, and like when
Yeah.
they're gone, it's just gone.
I'm wondering if they're gonna do like full taxidermy, like you just keep the whole suit,
Yeah,
just
Yeah.
stretch it around the
Yeah.
mannequin, and they're like, oh, there's Brian, there's his bodysuit.
yeah.
There's Brian.
So it was so weird. But then I guess the other part of it is like, you know, when you get older and you start to wrinkle and stuff like that, like obviously like the tattoo's not going to look as good as like, you know, today. So
Yeah.
is that the version that they're gonna like preserve? It's like no, this tattoo looked really cool at one point, but like now the person's like they live to be 90, so
Yeah.
it's like it's faded a
They
little
look
bit,
down the
you
sun,
know.
they look like a Louis Vuitton bag.
Yeah,
You
yeah.
kind of see the blue still.
Yeah. No, but it is an interesting concept. Yeah, I mean, I feel like maybe that's like part of like what makes it special is that it's finite. You know, it's not gonna be.
Yeah.
Yeah,
It doesn't last forever.
because
Yeah.
I guess like people have urns. It's just a different form of it. Maybe like when people started making urns at first, they're like, "Whoa, what are you doing?" And then people got used to it. So maybe this will be
Yeah.
Yeah.
just
Yeah.
a cultural speed bump we get over.
Yeah. Yeah. It's super interesting. Yeah. I would love to learn more about tattoo history. I feel like I like don't know too much about it.
Yeah, that's why I was like, is there any books you
Yeah,
recommend?
I'll
Because
send you
that would be
guys
cool.
all the books that I got.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Send you a photo of them all because you should be able to get all of them somewhere.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think I think there even need to be more people like documenting like what's happening like right now. Because think about like, I don't know where the industry is going to be 20, 50, 100 years from now, but I'm sure like they'll look back on this era, whichever way it goes, and be
Yeah.
like, I
It's
want to
a
know more about that.
renaissance.
You know? Yeah. Yeah.
The renaissance of tattooing at the moment.
Yeah, it really is. We need like writers, like people who are like writing books, writing journals, even more videography.
Totally.
Just capture all this moment.
Yeah.
Because it could just be like, we look back and they're like the 20s, but nobody can like prove what the 20s look like.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
you're like, oh, that's cool.
Yeah. Totally.
Well, also, just thank you for doing your part for the tattoo industry, like for loving it so much and helping preserve it, and the way you talk about artists too in your videos. I hope
Absolutely.
maybe one day you'll make a video about me, I guess.
Oh, of course.
I'm just kidding.
You're lined up. Definitely.
But yeah, you really add to the specialness of it, and it's such a sacred industry. So thanks for doing your part and doing it well.
I
Yeah.
appreciate that so
Yeah.
much. It means so much to me.
Yeah.
And like when I first started, I didn't think I would have any positive feedback because like this is a world I never like jumped into. So I was like, I feel like I'm not going to be accepted. And then I just started going, and the positivity from tattoo artists was
Yeah.
just so
Yeah.
nice. And I was like,
So that's what I was going to ask too. I feel like tattooing and like tattooers, it's a very like, it's very sacred to them. Like they don't want to like let anybody else in a lot of the time. And I think it's changing a lot, but, you know, and I'm not a tattoo artist, but I feel like I kind of get a pass because my wife's a tattoo artist, you know, but I was just curious, like, because I know a bunch of people that come into the industry in some way or another, and they're not tattoo artists and they're trying to do something with it. And it's not like, it's like definitely good intention, you know, a lot of it's like helping tattoo artists, but I was just curious if you've had any, or like if there's been any pushback, or like if you started out with pushback from like people like tattoo artists that like didn't want you to come into the space, or like how that's looked for you.
so with like any of the people I made videos on or anything, I think I'm very lucky, but like I have not had much negative feedback.
Good.
All the artists that have shared my stuff have been super supportive, and it's gotten way easier now that I've gained a larger following and have been doing this a lot more, and they see that like I'm actually dedicated to it.
Yeah.
So there's been no speed bumps with like working with artists. I can hit them up and be like, hey, I want to come visit your shop. They're like, absolutely, please come in, stuff like that. Now I will get a few stragglers that are like just starting out tattoo artists, and I haven't seen one in a while, but they'll be like, are you a tattoo artist? I was like, no, I'd love to be, because I try and respond to every comment.
Yeah.
I'm like, no, I'd love to be one day. And they're like, then shut the fuck up. They're like, you don't know anything about tattoos. And I was like, just because you're a tattoo artist doesn't mean you know everything.
You said
And I
these.
was-
You said these are newer tattoo artists.
yeah.
Because I was going to say it's usually the insecure artists who are like that. And I mean, that's probably when you're most insecure, when you're first starting out and you haven't hit your
Yep.
peak yet. So
Yeah.
Or
Yeah.
like,
And they're still better about their apprenticeships because apprenticeships suck and they're hard. So yeah. But I can imagine that I feel like artists probably give you a lot of like slack and are supportive because you do give back. And so there are a lot of a lot of people out there not in the industry who just like, I can see that it feels like they're just taking advantage of the industry by just throwing out like an aftercare line and not really like supporting artists or any of that, and just they're taking a lot more and they're not giving back. But
Yeah.
that's something you do differently, I think.
Well, so I think the whole, you know, the concept of your videos is super interesting because like, you do all this stuff for free. Like the tattoo artists don't pay you, right?
yeah,
You don't
I refuse to take money from artists and studios. I've been offered before, and I'm like, no.
Yeah,
It's like,
totally. Which is super interesting because first of all, like that's worth like the videos that you make are worth a lot, and so I feel like it might have been different starting out, but maybe when you started out, it's, you know, tattoo artists are like, oh, cool, he made this video for me, like he's being nice, he's being super complimentary. But now, like if you do a video on a tattoo artist, like that's like they're getting super lucky because I mean, and you've got so many tattoo artists nowadays that are like, oh, I don't know how to make videos, or like my social media is not hitting, and your videos like hit and they're really good. So like if you make a video on somebody, it's like, dude, they're getting like all this promotion, and it's got to be like just awesome for them. Like, oh fuck yeah, he made a video on me, you know?
And that's the goal. Like my goal was every video goes nuts, because it just brings them so much attention. I think my best result from one video, I gained the artist 70,000 followers. And I was
Oh my
like,
God.
Damn, dude. Fuck yeah.
he's like booked out for like 5 years. I was
Wow.
like, that's what I do
You
it for.
changed his life.
Totally.
I like
yeah.
watched it every day. It like started at 90 and then it kept cooking and I was like messaging. He messaged me. He's like, dude, 120,000, 130,000, 100. I was like, let's go.
That's
That is
so awesome,
cool.
man.
So cool.
Yeah, that's so and we've kind of had conversations like this on the podcast, but it's crazy how like one post can like really like change your life, because like sometimes like you don't go viral very often, but like when it happens, if you go viral to the right people, like you can totally change your outlook on your entire career. So now it's really cool that you've got somebody like you who's like just doing that for people.
Yeah,
like
I can
that's crazy.
give that to them.
Yeah, that's insane. Yeah, that's really cool.
Yeah, I love it so much. And then also like when those videos do go viral, that's when you start seeing like the whole internet coming in. So then you're prepared for all those wild comments. Like once you start seeing it touch the millions, you're like, all right, here comes the annoying comments. Like the one video,
yeah.
I don't know if you know Steve-O.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. So
Incredible artist.
made a video for him. He usually travels to New York and Miami. And I just misspoke because I was just like in the mode. And well, I guess I didn't misspeak, but I said he's a world traveling tattoo artist. He goes to New York, Miami. Didn't think anything of it. Comments come in. You stupid Americans just think that these are the international cities. I'm like, that's world traveling for him, first off. Second,
Yeah, right,
it's
yeah.
the first two cities that came.
Yeah.
Hundreds of comments. And him and I were just like talking about it. He's like, thank God you said something dumb like that.
Yeah, no, that's so funny, dude. And that's
They don't realize they're just feeding the algorithm.
yeah. But and it's funny that you mentioned like that first video that went viral. And you're like, I don't like this because you're getting like all the bad comments. But and you know we'll have stuff go viral every once in a while. And it's just part of it. You get
Yep.
people talking shit and stuff like that. But what really like kind of changed my perspective on it is, have you met John Nelson?
Mm-hmm.
So
dude.
I was talking to him about it, and we were like making a skit with Deanna, and I was like, oh, like maybe you shouldn't do that because, or this one idea, because like people like talk shit about it. He's like, yeah, well, we could use some controversy. Like we don't normally have that very often, because he looks at it as like just feeding that video, feeding the algorithm, and so like that's changed my whole perspective to where like, as long as it's not hurting anybody, like as long as it's not like talking shit about the tattoo, like if people are talking shit about me, like I'm like, hey dude, you're helping this video blow up.
Yeah.
Or like one of our super viral videos, we had Ryan Ashley on the podcast, and we were talking about like the automated tattoo machines, and it was just like at the right time, because that's when that stuff the news was kind of coming out.
Oh, yeah.
And we had so many comments like one way or the other that was like, oh, what Ryan said is stupid, and it's just like I just leave them up, because it's like,
Yep.
hey, you're helping this video blow up, you know?
Yeah, the more comments, it just starts cooking.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And like now, like after you get over the first couple videos, you get used to them.
Totally.
Because like, what can they say?
Nothing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think the one, and I was stupid for doing this, but I was talking about Duda, the dude who does the patch style, and for some reason, because I've been to Spain before, and you know how they say like Barcelona instead of Barcelona. I just got back from Spain, so I was like in that mood, and I was like, oh, he's in Barcelona now. Cooked. People ripped me apart for saying that. And I was like, you know what, that's fair.
Yeah.
Jackass for saying it like that.
Isn't it so funny though, like when you make a video like that and you can watch it like 1,000 times, but sometimes like you don't even think anything of it until after you post it and people like start to like say shit about it, you're like,
Yeah. You're like, that looks great. And you're like, oh,
yeah, yeah,
it's already doing so good. So you're like, just let it ride.
yeah. So, yeah, so I mean, what would be your advice for getting over the bad side of the viral videos? Just practice.
Yeah. Just get used to the comments. The comments are funny. Like, those
Yeah.
people, you have no idea who they are. You'll never see them again. Like, my mom tried to intervene one time because she's on Facebook, and I have a following on there now. I'm like, do not interact with them. I had to delete her comment because
Yeah.
she just started like going into politics. I'm like, this is why.
Yeah, yeah. All right.
But
Well, Facebook's a wild place too. I feel
Yeah.
like it's like more so than Instagram. People like to just go at it. Yeah.
yeah,
For
they,
sure.
like, made a comment or like, you have such shitty tattoos. And I'm like, thanks. And then my mom was like, I'm going to comment. I'm like, don't. It doesn't
Yeah,
matter.
yeah.
And then it just started getting in. I'm like, this is like, you went too far.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah.
No, I
I
think-
just delete them and block them.
Yeah, and that's definitely you can do it that way too. Yeah,
Yeah.
Normally if somebody's like talking shit about the tattoo, that's normally when I'll delete it because I don't want like that client
Yeah,
to see that and feel any way about it. But
Yeah, I do it with talking like that too, because I'm like, this is just negative.
yeah,
I'm trying to
Right.
be positive with the tattoo artist, and you're just coming in and talking so much shit on their hard work. Even if you don't like it, it's a great tattoo.
Yeah.
yeah,
Like, they've put their whole life into creating this art, and you just are just being pessimistic.
yeah, totally. No, and I think part of like the practice or getting exposed to those bad comments is I think you realize after a while that it doesn't do anything. Like nothing comes of it. Like it just kind of like maybe you'll read it at first and like it kind of upsets you or like ruins your day, but like nothing ever happens after that. Like it's just like such a speck and just somebody just shooting negativity at you, but they're not gonna like do anything beyond that, you know?
Yeah.
So I think once you realize that like kind of the worst thing that could happen is like your video gets some more engagement. It's like, I'll let it go, you know?
Yep, exactly. And I also recommend, like, I only respond if I have something funny to say. Because I view it as if you get heated and you respond heated, one, it could go bad because you're in the heat of the moment, or other people see them getting to you.
Yeah.
And then they're like, oh no, because I've seen some big creators and then they start like battling in the comments. I'm like, that's not a good look, dude.
Totally.
Yeah.
So
Totally.
it's like, just either respond with something funny, and then people just start liking that, and then
Yeah.
they'll be like, yeah, fuck this guy.
Yeah. Yeah. No, that's so fun because I think about doing that a lot because like people comment some dumb shit on some of our stuff. And I'm like, dude, I could rip this guy, but I don't know. I want to maintain the brand, and I don't know. I don't want people to be like, oh, Colton's such a dick, you know. But they deserve it, you know.
Yeah.
Like they're being a dick. Yeah.
That's why, like, I'll have some tattoo artists, and they'll comment talking shit on it, and I'm like, I could let loose, but I'm not gonna. Like, I never talk publicly negative on tattoos. Like, it's just not my thing. But I was
Yeah.
like, I look at the profile, I'm like, hey man, why are you talking shit?
You know what though?
It's always those people who talk
Yep.
shit. Always.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
People are
It's
doing good, don't care about.
not at all.
Totally. So, and sometimes when somebody comments something like really outlandish or like their profile is like really not good, I'll leave it up because I know other people are gonna cook them. You know, they're gonna be like, dude, you need all the advice you can get.
Yeah, and Instagram comments are so wild. Like, me and my friends have just been obsessed with seeing the comments on people's posts, and
Now you have like whole pages. It's like
Yeah.
it'll be a video and it's just like all the top comments and just yeah, it's so funny.
there was one dude, and it's like, I don't know if you saw this girl, but she's like a sweet Mormon girl who does the dad jokes, and the comments are so egregious, and she's like not this kind of person at all. But the only reason it started is because like some dude, I guess like some people were starting the comments, and some dude made a video defending her. And they're like, oil up, buddy, you're next. And then
Oh
her
my
comments,
God.
like 17,000 on a post, saying the most insane things as like a trend.
Yeah.
You-
Damn.
I hope to God not get part of like that trend.
Yeah.
Like, somebody commented one time, the hate from Ireland. I deleted it. I was like, we're not starting this.
Totally. Yeah. Damn, that's wild. Yeah, it's crazy how going viral is a double-edged sword sometimes.
It's
Yeah.
like the 4chan era when they were just
Yeah,
in as
totally.
an army.
Yeah. Dang, that's wild.
So scary.
Yeah.
Well, thanks for, again, like the positivity that you put out, even just talking to you during this whole thing. Like, you could tell, like, you genuinely love artists and what they do. I think that's really awesome.
Yeah, totally.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, we did a podcast post recently. We had Stefan Alcantara on the podcast, and he was talking about how special like a tattoo is, and like a lot of the people in the comments were like agreeing with it about how it's like the most special form of art. And then there are some tattoo artists in there that are like, no, this is bullshit. And you look at their page, and it's like, no, I can tell that you don't care about it that much. You know? Yeah, it's funny, but
They're like, been tattooing for 40 years. I'm like, have you not changed anything?
yeah, they've either like been tattooing for like 30 years or like 3 years. Like I
Yeah.
feel like there's not much like in between, you know. But okay, yeah. So you've been to 45 countries.
Yep.
Gotta know, where's your favorite place? Favorite places you've been?
Switzerland. I got that in Pennsylvania. When I first, because of this tattoo, real quick, you know how there's like that dark red aesthetic when it contrasts with the black
Yeah.
work.
Yeah.
That's what I was going for. I was like, it's gonna look so beautiful, and then I just got that, and I'm like, oh, that's not the same.
That building underneath, that's clean.
Yeah, this is all the same artist. The what's it called? Palace of Westminster. But Zermatt, Switzerland is my favorite place I've ever been to. And have you ever been there?
No, no.
So
we
it's
haven't been
like
to Switzerland.
nestled in the Swiss Alps, and you have to get there by train or helicopter. And then you get, and it's this little village and this giant mountain that just over peaks the whole city, or like town, because it's that small. And it's just mesmerizing.
Yeah.
It's cold. It's like the creek water is just so pure, so quiet, and you're like, wow,
Yeah.
in the middle of nowhere.
Yeah. And that's kind of the places you like, kind of more
Yeah.
off the beaten path, smaller.
Yeah. We always avoid tourist traps. Like, we'll go see them, but I don't do the tours and stuff. I like just getting there to the city and exploring.
Yeah.
Like,
Totally.
we took a car and drove through Bosnia and Herzegovina, and that was amazing. You're just in the middle of this valley, middle of nowhere. You're like, dude, we're out here.
Yeah. Yeah.
Driving through Colombia
Yeah.
up to Barranquilla, and that was just,
How cool.
I have such a euphoric feeling when it's me against the world. So just traveling to the most remote places, I'm just in a whole different like mindset.
It almost like it just kind of like gives you a sense of like how big the world is, you know?
crazy.
Yeah. It's wild.
Like in Sao Paulo, there's like 24 million people. You zoom out on Google Earth and it's just a speck.
Yeah.
You're walking through the city and you're like, how
Yeah.
is there this many people
Yeah.
in one place?
Yeah, that's so awesome, dude. Well, I hope with your docuseries, like I kind of like it when people showcase like the off the beaten path stuff, because when I was thinking about doing something similar, like I didn't want to go to like New York or LA or anything like that. Like there's cool tattoo artists there, but I wanted to go to like, so I got my chest done in Keene, New Hampshire. Just like small New England town by Jesse Ricks. Yeah, you did a profile on him. But to get up there, you got to fly into Boston, then you got to drive to like 2 hours, and it's just like this really small New England town. I'm like, that's what I want to like
Yeah.
showcase, because like that's like one of the coolest experiences I've ever had, where it's just like you're not going there to do tourism stuff. Like you're going there for a tattoo, and that like is part of like what makes it special. You know?
Yep. And it's places people haven't seen, so it's like adds that learning thing too. Because everybody's seen New York. And like,
Yeah.
even though there's so much you could still learn about it, like you're like, oh, New York again. But Keene, the only reason I know Keene, New Hampshire is because of him. So that's not like when you said it, I was like, yeah.
Totally. Yeah.
But besides that, like nobody knows anything about Keene. So
Right.
you capture that culture. And it's even more relatable because there's so many people from small towns as well. Like I'm from a small town. And you're like, oh, you can kind of like resonate with it.
Yeah, totally. Or even like Bel Air, Maryland. Like that's not a place that you would think to like go visit.
Yeah.
You know, but I'm sure there's really cool stuff there. And if you're going to get tattooed, it's not like you're going to be there for like a week. You might be there for like a day on the front end or the tail end. So it might be cool to just like hit the local spots and, you know, just
Yep.
get that kind of small town charm, you know.
And that's like a little aspect that I make sure. So I asked her, give me 2 events that pertain to your life that like either you do or something that like really like shows your personality, because I want to participate in them. So she's a cheer coach. So I learned how to
No
cheer
way.
a little bit.
No.
So scared.
Wow.
Yeah, her girls and her daughter put me up on whatever, I forget what this is called. Terrified up there. And then I did, her husband has a half pipe in the backyard. And I used to skate when I was younger, but it's been 14 years. So I was like, it's a little half pipe, I can do it. Destroyed my shoulder.
Yeah.
I'll show you the video.
Yeah.
I was like, I went down and just went right back, and my shoulder yanked out.
No.
I'm too old.
And you got it on video?
Yep.
Well,
And then
at least you got that, you know.
yeah, it was perfect. And then I was like, another aspect I want to have is like capturing the culture of the town. And Maryland's known for blue crabs, so we did a little crab feast.
Hell yeah, dude.
Fun.
Dude,
Something.
that is so cool. Okay, so is this the film, or is this like the mini like YouTube series?
This is the film.
Okay.
Yep.
Hell yeah.
So we're gonna edit that. I'm gonna film a little bit more for the intro, because since this will be the pilot, it's going to be like what I just told you, that whole story of the Inked Abroad, and then it's going to start with her, and then we're going to go international.
Awesome,
Nice.
dude. Awesome. So, when you're going to these places, like, do you get them tattooing at all, or is it just like, okay, right on?
So the first one, one of her tattoo artists got tattooed by her. She was like, she's been on camera before. This will be perfect. I'll give her a tattoo. But my goal in the future, when we have canvases, is I see so many people in my comments that say, oh my God, it'd be a dream of mine to get tattooed by them. So I'm going to start picking followers out who have commented on those artists and fly them out and let them become the canvas.
Oh
Hell
my
yeah.
God.
And just
That's
take
so
them with
cool.
us.
Yeah, yeah, and I was thinking that would be really cool because then you get to, show what it's like to actually like go travel and get tattooed by an artist, So yeah, I
You
think
see the
that's-
work in person, see them in their element.
Yeah,
And then also just like give back, like let them get that experience so you can capture that experience on camera too. I think that'd just be really beautiful.
yeah, totally. Yeah,
You're
and
helping
yeah,
lots of people.
yeah, and it's great for the artists too because people get to see how cool they are
Yep.
and just another platform for them to show their work and everything like that.
100%.
Yeah.
Okay, so then what's the YouTube miniseries going to be then?
So I figured, YouTube, that's the only platform I don't have a big following on. And like I've tried the shorts, tried the long
Shorts
form,
bomb.
but it takes so long to edit. But I'm like, I need to just hone in on it, figure it out. And I was thinking like the first couple videos I'll still do like my style, just longer. But I just bought a camera setup. It's like $4,000. I was like,
It's not cheap.
yeah. I was like, for what we need to film, my friend was like, that's probably like the cheapest you can go. And I'm like, oh.
Yeah,
No.
yeah.
And I got to learn how to use all of it. But my thought is like build up a YouTube following, and it'll be like mini versions of that. So like 10 minutes long, I'll be able to cover more artists and just constantly have like traveling around. And then I can bring those subscribers directly to the film whenever we're ready to do that.
Yeah.
So we'll start with like California artists. And then since the camera, I got that A7 S3.
Yeah.
So easy to travel around with.
Totally.
And I could just go and make little ones. And
Yeah.
then it'll help me like learn how I'm going to be on camera. Like it used to like what I want to ask, what shots I want to capture and stuff like that.
Yeah. So are you going to be like filming yourself when you're doing this stuff?
I think so. Unless my friend Mike comes with me, and Mike's part of like the production team for the documentary. But when it's just me, I haven't figured that out yet.
Yeah.
Maybe I'll just be setting it
Yeah.
down. Be like, all right, hold on.
Yeah. And then you get a tripod or something.
Yep.
Yeah.
Because I still want to capture like me interacting with the city and stuff.
Yeah.
So maybe I can have a friend do it,
Yeah. I would. Yeah. Probably.
or hire
Yeah.
somebody to come for the day.
Yeah. Either way, that's going to be
Expensive.
it's going to be super cool. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's expensive for sure. Yeah. And just time consuming. That doesn't count the travel and everything like that, and the giant camera setup. So
Yeah. But I feel like that I can send to somebody to edit.
yeah.
Because that's just going to be all raw experience. And
Yeah.
it's not going to be me trying to like get the right information out in like my video.
Well, and I feel like with longer form content in YouTube, like it can be a little bit more like raw. It's not like Instagram where like you really need to be intentional about like the pace of the video and everything like that, because like you're risking somebody scrolling past it. But if somebody's going to sit down to watch a 10-minute YouTube video with you, it can be a little bit more
Yeah.
loose, Yeah. So I feel like you don't have to be like as involved with like, okay, this is the exact way this video has to
Yep.
go. Yeah.
And like the words have to touch each other with each clip. You're like, this
Totally.
takes 2 hours. Now look at this.
Yeah,
Keep 'em.
exactly. Yeah, exactly.
Attention spans of fruit flies. We
Right.
have.
Yeah. But that's the beauty of YouTube is like once somebody's made it to your channel and watch a video, like they're in it for something longer,
Yep.
So yeah, that's so cool. That's it's something that we're trying to get more involved with. We're actually starting in a few weeks. We're going to close on Mondays, and that's going to be like our media day. So we're going to do like the podcast on that day and like shoot long form content and stuff like that.
Oh, that's nice.
Yeah, I feel like it's so important. We don't have quite the team Mad Rabbit does, but yeah, it should be pretty cool. But yeah, it's
And it,
kind of like
gives you a little bit of a relaxation knowing that you have one whole day to it.
yeah,
instead of trying to like balance it with the rest of the stuff.
Yeah, especially like when the shop's like packed and it's like, oh, let's get this in before the shop opens and it's not super loud. But yeah, no, I'm really looking forward to that. And like she said, that's something John Nelson does too. And it's like, damn, that's a really good idea. So
Yeah, and he's killing it.
yeah,
Oh,
yeah,
I love it.
yeah, totally.
Seriously.
But yeah, I'm excited. I feel like there's so much more room in the space for longer stuff, you know, stuff that's a little more intimate.
Yeah,
Really.
and I like I think we need more like social media of tattoos.
Yeah.
Just like it's parting, like building the culture even more, and the more like entertainment, the more serious videos, the more just like media there is about tattoos, it's gonna bring more attention to it, and they'll be like, okay, it's
Absolutely.
not just go into a hardcore shop and get tattooed. Like there's a whole culture, and like
Yeah.
obviously we know that,
Yeah.
but it's still like a learning thing for other people.
Absolutely.
Absolutely. And I think that like it's just going to take more non-tattoo artists getting into the space, you know, because you're going to need people that aren't tattooing
Yeah.
4 or 5 days a week that already know how to edit a YouTube video and everything like that. And I think it's something great that you've done is come into the space and just given tattoo artists another avenue to show their work. And so I hope that, you know, more good people like you come in who are like literally like they're making it about the artists. And then I'm hoping that when that happens, like tattoo artists will be more receptive to like, okay, this is a really good thing for our industry. You know, it's not something that we need to like keep these people out. Like it's
Yeah.
just going to help everybody, you know?
Because it like takes away from them having to like solely focus on social media. So there's a bunch of people starting to do it, and like there's this kid Sam Parlay, he's in France, and he like I met him in person for the first time, but he's like, dude, you inspired me to start doing this. So he makes all his videos in French, and I'm like, that's awesome. And he's starting to cook too, and I was like, I love seeing that.
Sweet.
And
Is
he
he a
just-
tattoo artist or a non-tattoo? Cool,
So
man.
like I saw him start to do the videos, and then he reached out, or I reached out to him. I was like, dude, I love it. And he's like, no way, like, thank you so much. Like I saw your stuff and I was inspired. And so he's hitting the whole French market, and he's like going to all the convention. He's getting really involved with it.
Hell yeah, dude.
I love seeing that.
Yeah, dude, that's so cool. Mm-hmm. Yeah, and that's like at that point, it's like, dude, how can you knock somebody for doing that? Because it's like people aren't out there doing it, you know, and it's something that needs to be done. So,
Yeah.
Yeah.
that's
Unless you
awesome.
were like DMing artists and being like, yo, $1,000, I'll make this video for
Yeah,
you. And
totally,
you're like,
totally, yeah.
Okay, you can fuck off.
Yeah,
But if you're just doing it out of passion and love for it,
yeah.
And people recognize when it's out of love and passion.
So if you're comfortable asking with this, I got to ask, if you don't charge people for making videos, like what's your, like, is this your full-time gig? Like what's your like primary source
Yeah.
of income?
so this has recently become my full-time thing. For the past 4 years, I was Instacarting.
Okay.
Hated every single one.
Yeah.
Second, it was a really nice boom because I used to be a car salesman. Did not do well at that because I could not screw people over.
Yeah.
So I
You
just
seem
never
like
sold.
a pretty nice guy. I
Yeah.
definitely don't get used car salesman vibes when I talk to you.
I would go up and they're like, "You sure you can't get it lower?" And I'm like, "I could probably get it lower. It actually costs like this." Did not do well.
Yeah. Manager wasn't happy about that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They're always like, "Go tell them it's $8,000 over," and I'm like, "I can't, you monster."
Yeah, totally. Yeah.
So I finally quit that, and because COVID, Instacart had this boom, and we were like, the money was coming in great. And I was like, oh my God, I can just grocery shop and like work on my passion. I was like, this is perfect. And then it died. Like after like COVID and the world opened back up, it just started dying. I think they had a vendetta against me because my friend was still cooking, but I just wasn't getting anything. I was like, what am I doing? Like I can't, and then, like at this point I'm so involved in Inked Abroad, I'm like, I can't go back because I got to travel all the time.
Yeah.
So we're just doing that, and social media pays horrendously.
Totally.
So having a sponsor has really saved my life. Like,
Yeah.
Mad Rabbit has been great with me, and like Instagram, I get like $70 a month from Instagram for 367,000 followers.
You know, yeah. Healthy paycheck, healthy monthly paycheck.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Facebook actually pays the most, which is nice because they'll pay on like the posts and the reels, and then TikTok, they're just a bunch of cucks because over a minute they'll pay you, but when you make a video over a minute, nobody gets to see it. When it's under a minute, like the one I made for Steve-O, I was like, okay, it's short by like 5 seconds, but I was like, we'll just post it because I'm not gonna add fake like dialogue in there. Posted it, 2.5 million views. I'm like, okay.
Not a cent from it. Yeah. Yeah.
Just works that way.
Yeah.
So that's why I also like, I think YouTube, people do very well on YouTube. So if I put super cinematic stuff out there that people actually want to watch, hopefully that'll allow me to reinvest and travel even more so I can cover more artists.
Yeah, totally.
But-
Yeah. No, I think the sponsorship thing is awesome. And when I heard about Mad Rabbit doing that, I'm like, damn, they're fucking doing it right.
What exactly are they doing?
I mean, how, if you can answer, is like, how does it work? Are you like an employee for them, or like, are you on
No,
a
so it's kind
salary?
of like it started out as like a sponsorship as we got to like know each other, and now we've become like a family.
Yeah.
So I've just gotten on my end, like at first it was like, you'll do this, like a simple sponsorship, but I always like to go above and beyond. So I just started like doing as much as I could with connections and helping them out. And they've been so great to me. Like they've taken care of me, but they're also like that familial kind of vibe. We always hang out, go out and get beers and stuff, and just spend so much time together. So I've just put everything I can into helping them out,
Yeah.
growing them, trying to get them in different conventions and stuff, and just spreading awareness.
Yeah.
Nice.
That's awesome, man. And I feel like that's another way that the tattoo industry is going to start to change is, you've got so many like sponsorships out there. But it's another way that it'll change, I think, is now you've got like non-tattoo artists that can be sponsored because they've got a following or whatever it is. But I feel like most sponsorships, they don't really do anything for their artists. And I think if you have companies like Mad Rabbit that are like, hey, Pony Lawson, we're going to sponsor your YouTube channel. Like, I feel like those like bigger name artists, like that's the stuff that they're going to seek out because that's what they deserve. And I think
Yeah.
the companies that aren't willing to like do stuff like that and actually shell out money instead of just like, hey, here's some free aftercare or whatever it is. Like, I think you're going to start to see like them really rise above like the rest of the companies out there.
100%.
Yeah.
And they're going to get that like antidote, those good antidotes, and also it just like helps build relationships.
Yeah.
Like the more we help each other out, we're both going to grow.
Yeah. Totally. Yeah. I think it's super cool, man.
Yeah.
Well, what country would you say has like the best tattoos or the best tattoo artists?
Ooh. I think I can call, like, especially on the experimentalism and what's coming out of this country, South Korea is going wild.
Yeah, totally.
They have very unique stuff going
Yeah.
on there.
And it's still like underground and taboo, but just some of the artwork coming out of there. And I have two theories. It's either like, when your parents wouldn't let you do something, you're going to rebel.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Either like that, or that since it's still taboo, they want to prove how beautiful art can be on the skin.
Yeah.
So they just, or it could
like a
also be
theory.
because like they go like super into their culture, like K-pop, fashion. They always like get super invested into it and make it super great.
Yeah.
So it could be that.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah, there
Three
are some
theories.
insane artists coming out of there. And then you're
Yeah.
starting to see them tattoo like in Canada and the US more and when those people come through it's like, dang,
Yeah.
really fucking good.
Like PETA. I don't know if you know PETA, and he does like the Dang Chong style tattooing where it looks like the old Korean temples. But I was talking to him, and he's like, he's now moving to LA, but in Seoul, he's 95% of his clientele is from the US.
Wow.
Like,
Really?
that's so much.
That's wild.
That's so
Wow.
cool.
Yeah, that's interesting. Yeah.
Yeah.
We really haven't worked with any Korean tattoo artists.
No.
I'd love to.
Yeah.
They're really fucking good.
There's a new studio in LA called Non From Seoul, and it has some of the heaviest hitters of South Korea there. And they're building this new studio, and it's going to be huge.
Yeah. Damn. Yeah, it's crazy. These artists come over and they kind of like get together like from that specific country. Like LA has Mona Lisa, like a bunch of Russian tattoo artists, like just fucking like just ridiculous talent. And like Love Machine is similar. Like it's all the Russians that came over and they just all work together and just fucking just do ridiculous tattoos all day.
Yep.
So cool.
Yeah. That's cool. That hopefully there will be like a Korean version of that. Yeah.
Yeah.
That would be
That
really neat.
studio, like all of them were there when I went in, and just seeing them all in action tattoo, and I was like, this is insane.
Yeah.
Like you see the photos and then you see it in person, you're like, holy
Yeah.
shit.
That's so dope, dude.
Well,
Yeah.
I need to make it to South Korea.
Yeah.
It's a big bucket list of mine.
Yeah, for sure. That's got to be on your list.
Yep.
insane.
Yeah. I would love to
That'd
go.
be So cool.
Yeah.
I heard it's just so like, it's like the city is so well maintained, all the food, there's just like so much going on.
Yeah. Have you been to Japan?
No. I
Yeah.
want to go there too.
Yeah. We went to Tokyo. We were there for like 24 hours, but we went there on the way to Taiwan. But I don't know if it's similar to Seoul, but it's like so clean. Like the food is great. Like it's crazy. There aren't trash cans on the street, but there is no trash.
Really?
Yeah, it's wild.
Like the second somebody throws something in there, like, all right, take it out.
I don't. No.
You hold the
There-
trash in your pocket until you get to a place, and then you throw it away.
It was actually like pissing me off because I had trash and I just can't find a trash
You
can
have to keep
anywhere.
it.
I'm like,
Yeah.
I guess they're just better than Americans. They're
Yeah.
like,
And you're not
'cause they're
supposed
not
to
like,
be
oh,
like
I'm gonna throw this on the
walking and
ground.
eating down
Yeah.
the street. It's it's I guess I think it's rude to do that.
Oh, you can? So it's, or even like drinking?
We went to 7-Eleven. I was like, we were all eating ice cream, and I noticed nobody else was, and I felt like people were looking at us, and there was no trash cans.
Maybe also
I
because
was,
we're like super white
I
and
don't
tattooed.
think-
But
I don't think you're supposed to do this.
dude, the 7-Elevens over there are insane.
It was my favorite part.
Really?
Yeah,
one
they're
of my
like
favorite
it's not
parts.
like it's like a convenience store, but they have like really like cool like high quality food, and it's like we're like they're at like 11 o'clock on a Tuesday night, and it's like packed, and like one of our friends got sushi and like ate it, and it was delicious, and like dude,
That's wild.
you couldn't pay me to eat sushi from a
Oh
7-Eleven
my God.
here,
Yeah,
but
you'd be dead.
yeah, it was right. It was really cool, and then Taiwan was really cool, and like I think you're gonna start to see the tattoo scene in Taiwan like really blow up because we went to a convention over there, and like. And there was a lot of like traditional Japanese tattoos at the convention and everything like that, but like some of the color realism coming out of there is just like, dude, insane.
Really?
Yeah.
Yeah, I've seen a couple artists. I'm actually going to Taiwan next Tuesday.
Really?
Yep.
Dude, that's dope.
So like Easy Tattooing, big machine company out there. They're having me come out, and we're gonna go to Taiwan, the Langfang convention in Shanghai.
Fuck
So
yeah,
fun.
dude,
I'm so
that is
excited
so
to see
awesome,
it.
man. Dang, that is so cool. Yeah, was one of the artists over there. He won Best of Show at the Golden State Convention, and yeah, he was at the Taiwan convention, and everything like that. And he's teaching a bunch of people over there, and they're just doing like insane color realism. So
Crazy. And like I'm not super educated on all the Chinese artists. Like I know a couple, but my friend Larry, who's part of EZ, he's got like sent me his care package and like another tattoo book filled with Chinese artists, and I was like, holy shit.
Yeah.
I was like, I had no idea.
yeah,
It's just such incredible artwork.
yeah. Are you going to a convention in Shanghai?
I think so.
Okay.
I don't know what the name of that convention is.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure it's 3, but I know Formosa is going to be the Taiwan one. And the way I found out about that is like I stumbled upon the Formosa Tattoo Expo, and then I saw 2 of my videos pinned at the top, but it was like all in Chinese. I was like, oh, that's cool. So
Yeah.
I reached out. I was like, hey, thanks for doing my videos. It was of Julian Siebert and Filomeno. And then they're like, oh, yes. I was like, I want to come visit. And they're like, no way, you should definitely come out. And then they made like one of the little banners for me. I was like,
That's
"Oh,
so cool,
special."
dude.
Wow.
Man, that's so wild that like you had this passion for traveling, and now because of what you've done, it's like giving you more opportunities to do that. Like that's so fucking cool.
Like I can't absorb it. It's like these past 6 months has really been the change, and like I can't. I'm so happy and just so like flattered, and it's insane.
Yeah.
Like it coming to fruition that
Yeah.
I can just travel and meet people. I love making new friends. Love meeting people, going to other countries, and it's just the dream I've always looked at.
Yeah.
When I was sitting in that car Instacarting, and I'm like, I just want to travel one day.
Yeah. That's so awesome, man. And I think it's because of, the positive energy that you put out there and how you like are just trying to showcase tattoo artists and putting it back into them,
Yeah.
I feel like good things just come back around to good people. And I
Yeah.
feel like you're doing awesome things, and yeah,
Thank
that's I'm super happy. I'm happy for you, man. Like that's awesome. That's really cool.
Thanks. Yeah, it's
Yeah.
been a crazy journey, and I always feel like I'm not doing enough. That's why I always try and come up with these new ideas, like the books and the website. And then I'm like, I don't know how to code. I was like, I want to figure this out. I spent so many hours trying to figure that thing out.
Wow.
Now I
That's
started
so
working
cool,
with
man.
this other company, and we're going to be putting together a platform, and it's going to have my resource on there, but it's people who know how to code. So they're going to take all the tattoo artists I recommend and put it on as an easy resource for people to find.
Yeah. Yeah. That's awesome, dude. Yeah, I feel like when you're like working so hard and really trying to develop your shit, like I feel like you just evolve at such a fast pace. And it's funny that you talk about like your videos like from the beginning. You're like, oh, they were super cheesy, and
So
and
bad.
like hopefully like yeah, we'll still think that the videos you're making today are awesome, but hopefully like a year or 2 years from now, you'll be like, dude, I can't believe I was doing that shit, because you'll just like be to this like whole new level, you know? And I feel like
Yep.
with whatever you do, like if you're like progressing at that pace, like your old shit should like embarrass you a little bit, you know? You should be like, dang, I can't believe I was doing that. And everybody else thinks it's awesome, but yeah.
Yeah, I got, well, after this, I'll show you the one video of when I was doing like the countries around the world, because I still got the one saved. It's so cheesy. I'm like, this is San Marino. You should go here. And I'm like, dude.
Yeah. But did it pop off?
No.
Oh.
There's like 300 views.
Oh,
It's
nice.
like me green screening over like photos, and I'm like, so cheesy.
Yeah.
Kind of want to see.
Well, I think what also is worth saying too, and I feel like a bunch of tattoo artists struggle with this, is they're like, oh, I don't know what to do, or like, I don't know how to make good content. And it's just like anything else, like it takes practice. It's like trial and
Yeah.
error. It's like making videos that you think are going to be good, and it's like, oh, nobody liked that. Nobody watched it. So
Let me
Yep.
try
you got to
again.
just keep evolving and just, yeah, almost like that's how you learn like how to make good content. You know, I feel
Yeah.
like most of the time, like the analytics or like how well your videos do are like very, very truthful, you know? And so I feel like that sometimes that's how you have to figure out how to do it, is just fucking try stuff.
Yep.
If it hits, keep using that format, just like you're doing with the way that you showcase tattoo artists now. All your videos do super well. And if it doesn't, just keep changing stuff until you find the formula, you know?
It's the same attitude you had with the clothing brand that you tried out with, and you're like, yeah, it was a learning lesson. Like, that's exactly how people should be seeing their, not necessarily failures, but things that don't work.
Yeah.
And I had a seminar client yesterday, and she was like, I told her, you know, after this, put out pre-designs, palm-size tattoos, do it for a discount, take all day to do these small tattoos, but pre-designs, that's your way of building your portfolio. That's how you're going to get to where you want to get to. And she was like, I did the pre-designs before, and it, you know, nobody wanted them. I was like, so do it again
Yeah.
and make it better. It's like, that's a learning lesson that tells you, okay, maybe people aren't wanting this kind of thing. Think of something else and get better and do it again.
Yep.
And it's inspiring too, hearing you just say like, hey, it took like a few years for things to start popping off and everything. And you got to put in the work, and then nothing is going to happen overnight.
Yeah.
You know?
So it's like 1 out of a billion where it just goes like that.
Yeah.
But the rest of it is just keep making. I remember I was like 500 videos deep on TikTok that I've made. Not a single one went. And I was like, what am I doing?
Yeah.
Like, this is miserable. I put so many hours into each video, and it's not doing anything.
Yeah.
And it's also like, what really like helped me, you look at other people making content, see which ones work, take an inspiration from it. Like, what changed my profile was this guy would show the world's most beautiful places. He'd sit there, sunglasses on, and a suit, and a map in the background. He had a sticky note, said #1, put it on like Yemen, and then it would be like a carousel of the beautiful spots in Yemen. And I was like, what if I spun a globe and I took a printout and it said Germany, spun it around, stuck Germany on Germany, took 1,000 tries. That globe almost got thrown out the window.
It's like a trick shot.
Yeah. And I was like, God forbid I had to go to Indonesia. And I was like, nope. Thousands of times. But I'd do that, and then it would carousel. And I was like, 700 followers. Because at that point, I was like, took a little break from Inked Abroad. I was like, dude, I'm putting so much work. Nothing's going. I was like, I'll do this. It's a little easier to make the videos. And then I would add a sound to it. Going 700 followers in like November. 2 videos just went nuts. I think it was Brazil and Indonesia that I was doing artists from. Went to 112,000 followers in 2 months. on Instagram, and I'm like, what the fuck just happened? It's crazy.
Wow.
So then I kept making the globe videos. But
Yeah.
that little
Because you saw what
inspiration-
worked.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
so wild, man. And I think it just goes to show, like, sometimes the content game, it's a fucking grind. I mean, on TikTok, we've got a shit ton of followers, and like most of our shit bombs on there. But every once in a while, something will really pop off, and that's where you like change the outlook of your business, you know. So sometimes it's just throwing stuff at the wall until it sticks. But it's so important because really, like, one video can, like, not just change your career, like change your fucking life, really.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I that's one thing that I always try to do is like take inspiration from like other industries, even if it's like, I'm not going to talk about, you know, fitness, but I like the format of a video. I'm like, okay, how can we work that into, you know, something tattoo related?
100%.
I think that's important to do too. Because I think a lot of people are like, oh, I don't know where to start, but it's like, we'll pay attention to what's doing good and then use that as like your source of inspiration.
Learn off of others.
Totally.
Yes.
Tricycle came from the bicycle. Like,
Yeah.
you don't have to. Sometimes you could be super innovative, but at the beginning, get a little bit of inspiration. See what people like. It constantly changes. What people like now, they're not going to like in the future.
Yeah.
Like weird TikTok videos I see, and it's a trend, and I'm like, trying to show that to a Victorian child.
Yeah, right. Yeah, yeah. But now you've got it to where like you have like your own format for videos, and like you've got this brand, and people recognize it as like an ink to broad video, and so they know it's going to be fire like the second they start watching it. You know.
You know, and I even battled that because I was like, am I doing too much of the same stuff? But then I'm like, no, because I've like come to this point, and it's always something different.
Yeah.
So I used to battle myself with that too. I'm like, do I need to start doing different kinds of videos? That's why I would sprinkle in like the Star Wars themed ones or like Harry Potter themed ones, even though as a felony offense it is, I've never watched either of those series. I need to.
Me neither.
Same.
I've watched Harry Potter, but not Star Wars. Yeah.
Yeah, I need to catch up.
Yeah.
At like One Piece, somebody said, and I was like, that's 1,800 episodes. Like, damn.
Ian's shaking his head.
Yeah. Yes, yeah. But yeah, I mean, going back to what I was saying, I think if you ever start to do the same stuff too often, like the analytics will tell you because people start getting bored of that format. Probably at that point, you'll change it up a little bit or a lot or whatever it is. Yeah. But yeah, dude.
It's literally a game.
Yeah.
Just constantly learning. And it also like helps, like once you start doing the talking, helps you get used to it. Because at first I was terrified.
Totally.
My roommate was next to me in his room, and I'd be like, this tattoo artist here? I'm like so scared for them to hear me, and now I'm just sitting there, I'm like, this fucking artist. Like, I don't care if you're in the room with me.
Totally. It really does get way easier, and I feel like a lot of people are scared to be on camera. We were just filming a video with Monique the other day, and she's like super nervous, and she asked me, she's like, do you get like this? And I'm like, no, I mean, I used to, but now it's way easier. It just takes practice like anything else.
Yeah.
Just gotta get in
Choose
front
your
of the
hard.
camera.
Like, do you want to go on social media and you want to do all these things on camera, or do you want to struggle a little bit and not be on camera? It's like they're both hard to do.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I feel like for tattoo artists, it's also nice because they have something they can show. So you don't have to talk the whole time. You can do a quick little intro, and what I would recommend is first 3 seconds are most important. If you can get 70% of people to watch those first 3 seconds, your video is going to go. So you say something in the beginning like, or even words, look at the tattoos I made today, or even take what I do, look at these fucking tattoos, and then show your carousel or your video that you put all the hard work into. That video is going to go nuts.
Totally.
Yeah.
Yeah. I feel like one of the nice thing about, you know, content creation within the tattoo space is like the content kind of like makes itself. If you're a tattoo artist, like you are going to make content based on the tattoos that you did that week or that month or whatever. So it's like, you still have to come up kind of with ideas to showcase it, but you've got a premise for everything, you know?
You got something to show.
Yeah. Or like you're like, I like this tattoo artist. Like the bulk of this video is going to be like this person's tattoos and I'm going to talk about them, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Awesome, man. Well, do you got I think that's about all I wanted to talk about, but do you have anything else that you want to tell the world or anything you want to plug or talk about that's coming up?
We got the documentary, the miniseries, the books, I want to release the first. I get a little fuzzy in my eyes.
Is that it? No, just kidding.
You got the book coming out this year at some point. I got to figure out how to make a book.
Yeah.
Like who prints books. I
Yeah.
know publishers make books, but
Yeah.
I'll find out somehow if you guys know any bookmakers.
I literally have no idea.
No, I think that's one of the kind of fun things of like being like an entrepreneur or like running your own business is like
Get to learn new
you
things.
just got to figure out that you just got to figure it out. You
Maybe
know?
I'll just stop doing Ink to Broad and I'll be a book printer.
If you really like it, yeah, maybe, yeah.
But yeah, no,
Yeah.
pretty much covered everything there.
Yeah, awesome, man. Well, so where can people find you? Where can they find your YouTube and TikTok and Instagram?
So YouTube is adding to Broad, Instagram's adding to Broad, all three, and that and TikTok too. Facebook is Dakota Weik, so I don't think I have a handle under that. and then-
Spell the last name.
WEIK,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
and then DAKOTA, because the amount of times people butcher my name, which is crazy. I went into a Chick-fil-A and then she was like DECODA. I'm like, it's 2 states.
Yeah, for real. Yeah, that's so funny, dude. Well, actually, one thing that you started doing recently that I think is really cool is like the Facebook community that you started. Yeah, do you want to talk about that? Just
Yeah,
real
so
quick?
I'm trying to build that up because get so many DMs, and I tell all my followers, like I try and respond to everybody. And like, I want to see your tattoos. I want to communicate with you guys because you guys are what makes Ink to Broad so great. And I was trying to figure out, and I don't know how I didn't think of it, but Facebook group. So I can do that. People can join. They can share their tattoos. Artists can show their tattoos in there. People can show the tattoos that they got. And I can contact everybody on the comments, do a little chat. So I'm trying to build that up where people can just have a community. They can
Yeah.
show tattoo books that they've bought, stuff like that. And
Yeah.
I can share.
Yeah,
Nice.
that's super awesome, man. Again, I think something that's building a social community is super valuable, but something that I think is just does not exist in the tattoo space really, and I think it's cool that you're doing the work to make a platform like that.
Yeah.
It's really awesome.
I'm super
Absolutely.
super excited for that. And then the Co-Create, I don't know if you guys heard of Co-Create.
No.
So it's this new company I started advising for, but they're creating a tattoo marketplace. So artists will be able to go on there. They'll put the art that they're looking to get or looking to create. So you see the price right on there. You can buy the tattoo right on the marketplace, and then it sets up the whole appointment. So it's like a no bullshit. You know exactly what you're getting into. Then you get like a digital like collection for it, like an NFT.
Yeah.
But the other side of it is that I'm going to take my resource and put it on there. So you could find any tattoo artist in the world that I've recommended. And we're
Yeah.
going to try and integrate a map. So I'm just like always trying to create more and more resources for people to find these artists. Because still, I have such a hard time finding
Yeah,
tattoo artists. I'm
totally.
like trying to find a really good neo-traditional artist in Germany. And I'm just like scrolling through Instagram trying to figure out this whole mapping system. And I just want to make it super easy. You're like, I want this. Here's bipolar surrealism style. Where can I find that?
Yeah. Totally. Yeah.
I love
So
that.
cool, man. Yeah, love what you're doing for the industry, and I'm excited to see where you take it from here. Yeah,
Appreciate
it's really awesome, man.
Thank you. Thank you so much for having me.
Yeah.
Thank
so
you
much
for,
fun.
for
Yeah,
coming.
dude. Yeah. Well, thanks for coming in.
Of course.
Yeah, thanks everybody for tuning in, and we'll see you next time.